I believe that fitness instructors today can have a much greater impact by simply changing the way that they lead classes, by creating more inclusive practices. According to the CDC, 60% of Americans don't participate in regular physical activity, and 25% don't work out at all. And why is that? Is the barrier to fitness just too challenging to join a fitness class? Is there a lot of shame and judgment and intimidation surrounding fitness classes? Well, if we don't update how we're teaching our classes, we're never going to reach those people. We're never going to affect the people that we greatly need to affect. I'm Christine DeFilippis, and I've been teaching fitness classes for 30 years now. I have taught all over the Philadelphia area, and I currently own a fitness studio in the suburbs. So I've changed how I teach over the years, and I also help instructors here in my studio, as well as around the world, shift how they teach in order to have that greater impact. In my studio here, we have one of the lowest attrition rates. It's not surprising because of how we teach. IRSA has a statistic of about 28% is the attrition rate, and ours is only 8%. And it's really the community that we've built here in the studio. It's the way we engage with people before they come into the studio, while they're in the studio, and even after they leave. We want to make everyone feel welcome and successful. And that's exactly what I'm going to teach you over the next 10 weeks. My goal is to help you examine what you're currently doing, give you all the resources and tools for you to shift in some way what you're currently doing so you can make people feel welcome when they're coming to your classes. Not only welcome, but excited to come back, excited to work out with you every day, that maybe they're even changing their schedule just to be with you each day. So our first exercise in order to shift how we're teaching is really to reflect on ourselves, on our own biases, on our own assumptions that we make based on these biases. We all have biases. There's no judgment in that. We all have lived different lives and have different lived experiences, but it's how we use those biases or what we do with them when we make assumptions and we start teaching in a certain way based on those assumptions that could really do a lot of harm. It could cause someone to have a terrible experience in fitness and never come back, but it also doesn't help you or help them create habits and just enjoyable experiences in fitness. So we're going to first start with ourselves with a very interesting test that you don't need to share the results with. This is just for your reflection. This test is so important, and I'm going to give you an example of why. When a person in a larger body walks into your fitness class, what assumptions do you make? Do you assume that they're new? Do you assume that they're trying to lose weight? What things are you thinking in your head? And then when you're thinking them, what things do you say to them? What things are you doing in your class because of the assumptions based on that bias? Also, when a person in a thin body walks in, what assumptions do you make about them, about their bodies, about their abilities? Our bias can affect everything, and we need to be aware of what our bias is so that way we can, again, create more inclusive practices. So I have a short quiz for you to do. Again, you do not need to share these results. This is for you personally. Awareness is going to help you reflect on the things that you want to change. You're going to use the link for the Harvard Implicit Bias Test. Now, there are a ton of tests in here. Feel free to do them all. I find them fascinating, and you can really check in with yourself and learn a lot about yourself and possibly break some bad habits in the process. But for our exercise for the next 10 weeks, I want you to scroll down to the bottom of the link that I have here, click on Proceed, and then click on the Weight Bias Test. This is going to give you information about your thoughts about weight and help us to take on the exercise that I have for you next week. Super simple. Again, just for yourself. There's no judgment. There's no right or wrong answers in there. Just take this information and meet back with me next week, and I'll give you some guidance on what to do with that test. I can't wait to see you next week. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments or reach out to me on social media or through my website, christinedefilippis.com, or through the Breaking Body Biases website as well. Can't wait to see the results and start to see a shift in what you're doing as fitness instructors to create a much greater impact and get more people excited to come to fitness classes.